So good afternoon. This is now our chapter 3 entitled Taxation of Corporations. So these are our learning objectives. Pakibasa na lang. So parang yung sa mga citizens, residents, aliens, meron ding classification of income taxpayers for these corporations. So corporations may be domestic or foreign. Pag sinabing domestic, these are the corporations created or organized under and by virtue of Philippine laws. Pwede siyang domestic corporation in general, including one-person corporation, government-owned and controlled corporations, taxable partnerships, proprietary educational institutions, and non-profit hospitals. Pwede rin siyang foreign. So these are the corporations organized in accordance with laws of their respective countries. So hindi siya created with laws in the Philippines. So, outside the Philippines siya. Pwede rin siyang resident or non-resident. Pag sinabing resident, these are the foreign corporations who are engaged in trade or business within the Philippines. Foreign siya, pero meron siyang trade or business dito sa Philippines. Pag non-resident naman, not engaged siya in trade or business within the Philippines. So, same lang to dun sa individuals. Meron din tayong tinatawag na General Professional Partnership which will be discussed in different chapter and estate and trusts. So these are the definition of terms para medyo ma-familiarize kayo habang nagdi-discuss tayo. First is the corporation. So a corporation is an artificial being created by operation of law, having the right of succession and the powers, attributes, and properties expressly authorized by law or incident to its existence. So sa corporation, dapat daw any person siya or partnership or association or corporation singly or jointly with others pero dapat not more than 15 in number. So pwede silang mag-organize ng isang corporation for any lawful purposes. So yan yon. It includes partnerships no matter how created or organized, joint stock companies, joint accounts, but does not include general professional partnerships. So yan si corporation. Domestic. What's the definition of domestic? Pag sinabing domestic, it is when applied to a corporation means created or organized in the Philippines or under its law. So dapat within the Philippines siya na-organize. Or ang sinusunod niyang law ay law ng Philippines. So, yan yung domestic. How about foreign? So, when applied to a corporation, it means a corporation which is not domestic. Sabi nga natin kanina, kung ang domestic ay organized in the Philippines or under its laws, syempre kung outside the Philippines ka naman, ang tawag naman sa'yo ay foreign. Ano yung resident foreign corporation? So it applies to a foreign corporation engaged in trade or business within the Philippines. So foreign corporation ka, pero nag-engage ka ng business mo dito sa Philippines. So resident ka, pero foreign ka. So resident foreign corporation. How about non-resident foreign corporation? It applies to a foreign corporation not engaged in trade or business within the Philippines. So, yan yon. I-read na lang yung mga other illustrations. How about the sources of income? So, aside from knowing the classification of the taxpayer, kung resident siya, non-resident siya, syempre, the source of income is the next important thing to determine whether it is from within the Philippines or without or outside the Philippines. So, ito yung nag-a-apply. Kapag isa kang domestic corporation, taxable ang income mo from sources within or and without the Philippines. So, basta tandaan nyo, pag domestic corporation, lahat ng income mo taxable, sa loob man siya or sa labas ng Philippines. How about foreign corporations? Whether resident or non-resident ka, taxable lang ang income mo kung ang source niya ay Philippines. So, ito yung summary niya. Pag domestic, within or without the Philippines, taxable siya. Pero pag foreign, within the Philippines lang. Ito naman yung categories of income and tax rates. Noon kasi, nagbabago yung mga tax rates ng corporations. Noong 1997, 35% ang tax rates niya. 1998, 34%. 1999, 33%. 2000 to October 2005 is 32%. Pero, noong November 2005 to 2008, bumalik siya ng 35%. 2009 is 30% na. So, onwards na yan. So, the table shows the specific tax rates on business income of corporate taxpayers. So, iba-iba siya. In general, 30% siya kasi ito yung latest. Pero pag minimum corporate income tax, which will be discussed in other chapter, 2%. So, ito yung mga taxes niya. General professional is exempt. So, walang tax pag general professional partnership. Ma'am, ano ba yung may example ng general professional partnership? Kunwari, may mga friends akong CPA. Nagtayo kami ng isang auditing firm. Partnership yon, magpa-partners kami. General professional partnership ang tawag sa partnership namin kasi mga professionals kami na nagre-render ng auditing services. So, exempt yon. O kaya yung mga lawyers, nagtayo sila ng law firm, magpa-friends din sila, gumawa sila ng partnership. So, exempt din sila. So, ito yon. Next is passive income. So, passive income is subject to a separate and final tax. Ganon din noon dun sa individuals natin. So, these are taxed in fixed rates ranging from 5% to 20%. So, it is not to be included in gross income computation kasi subject mo na nga siya sa final tax, isa-subject mo pa siya sa taxable income, sa income tax due. So, hindi, madodoble na siya. Pag may income ka na sinubject mo na sa final tax, hindi mo na siya isa-subject sa income tax due. So, ito, yung mga rates niya, nakadepende na naman siya kung anong klaseng passive income siya. So, yan yun. So, pag dividends, exempt siya. Dividends received by a domestic resident foreign corporation from a domestic corporation. So, exempt siya. Yan. So, mas magiging detailed naman to pag nag-compute na tayo. So, yan. Let's check the computation. Overview lang yan. Yung mga illustrations, pwede nyong basahin na lang. Okay, so... Okay. So, this one, paano ba siya i-compute? Naku, nawala yung XX. So, generally, this is the pro forma computation of the normal income tax of domestic and foreign corporation. So, gross income, parang dun sa individual lang din. Gross income less allowable deductions. Ma'am, bakit allowable deductions ang nakalagay at hindi lahat ng expenses? Pag corporation kasi, may mga certain expenses na hindi allowed ibawas pag magko-compute ka ng tax nila. For example, madidiscuss naman to sa future, pero mag-sample na lang ako. Kunwari, kumita ka ng 1 million pesos. Ang total expenses mo doon ay 500. So, 1 million less 500,000, di 500,000 din yung magiging net income mo kung saan mo i-multiply yung tax rate. Paano kapag may mga penalties ka sa BIR kasi may mga hindi ka na-file? Kung iisipin mo yung logic, parang lugi naman si BIR doon na nagbayad ka lang ng penalty, mababawasan pa yung magiging tax mo. So, kunwari, out of the 500,000 expenses, 100,000 doon ang penalty mo. So, i-compute natin. 1 million ang gross income mo, magkano na lang ang allowable deductions mo? Ang total expenses mo, 500. Out of the 500, 100,000 ang penalty mo. So, ibig sabihin, 400,000 lang ang allowable deductions mo. So, hindi mo pwedeng i-deduct yung 100,000 kasi kasalanan mo yun, ba't ka nagka-penalty? So, 1 million less 400,000 is 600,000 times yung rate na 30%, yun yung magiging income tax due mo. So, kaya tinatawag na allowable deductions. Anyway, mas madidiscuss pa naman natin yung other allowable deductions pag nagko-compute na tayo. So, ito. Ma'am, paano naman kung nagbago yung rate within the year? Kasi 'di ba na-discuss natin kanina sa taas na may mga certain years na iba yung tax rate. 1997, 35%. 1998, naging 34%. 1999, 33%. And so on, and so on. Paano kapag hindi siya calendar year? So, nababanggit ko dati sa accounting, may dalawang accounting period kasi. Pag sinabing calendar year, ang libro mo ay January to December. Kunwari 2020. January 2020 to December 2020. Kaso, pag fiscal year, 12 months siya, pero natatapos siya ng gitna or any month within the year. Kunwari, April 2020 to March 2021. So, 12 months pa din naman siya, pero fiscal year accounting period ang meron ka kasi hindi January to December. Paano kung within the fiscal year, nagbago bigla yung rate? Nag-announce yung government na from 35, 33 na, 34 na lang o 33 na lang. Paano mo ngayon i-compute yung tax due niya? So, ito siya. So, the corporate income tax rate of 35% became effective beginning November 1. O, tignan nyo to, November 1 pa siya naging effective. Paano naman yung different rate niya bago mag-November 1? Paano mo i-compute yon? So, regardless of the taxable year followed, the formula for determining the total tax due for the year shall be as follows. So, ito yung format niya. Kunwari ito, from 32%, naging 35% kasi siya. Sabi dito, 35% naging 35% siya nung November 1. So, before that, 32 siya. So, paano mo siya i-compute? Taxable income times number of months covered ng 32%, kung ano yung months covered niya, divided by 12 times yung 32% na tax rate. Plus, taxable income times number of months covered nung nag-change ng 35% divided by 12 times 35%. So, pag total mo, yun yung total tax due per ITR. Example, Warranty Corporation's fiscal year ended March 31, 2006. It has a taxable income of 600,000 for the fiscal year, its second year of operations. The income tax payable for the fiscal year ended March 31 is computed as follows. So, syempre, April to March 31 siya the following year. So, from April to October 2005, 32% ang rate noon. So, 600,000 times 7 months divided by 12 is 112,000. Paano yung change ng rate na 35? So, November 2005 to March 2006. 600,000 times 5 months. So, November, December, January, February, March. Divided by 12 is 87,500. The total is 199,500. So, yan. Effective January 1, 2000, the President, upon the recommendation of the Secretary of Finance, is allowing corporations to be taxed at 15% of gross income on certain conditions, which is discussed in next chapter. Okay. So, ano yung mga different domestic corporations naman? Pwedeng Real Estate Investment Trust or REIT. Tapos, This is a stock corporation established in accordance with the Corporation Code of the Philippines and the rules and regulations promulgated by the SEC, principally for the purpose of owning income-generating real estate assets. So for tax purposes, an REIT is considered a taxpayer engaged in the real estate business. Hence, real properties owned by an REIT are considered ordinary assets. Ito yung mga different definition of terms under real estate investment trust. Yan. Next is I3, non-profit educational institutions. So the 10% tax on taxable income is subject to limitation. If the gross income from unrelated trade business or other activity exceeds 50% of the total gross income derived from all sources, the tax prescribed shall be imposed on the entire taxable income. So yung 10% tax ng taxable income, may subject siya sa limitation. So, depende kung ilang percent ang gross income mo sa unrelated trade or business sa 50% ng total gross income mo. For example, may 1 million kang gross income. Kaso, may mga income ka doon na unrelated sa trade business mo. So, anong gagawin mo? Ito na lang, yung mga illustration. SGB University, a proprietary educational institution, has a gross income for the taxable year 2019 of 15 million. So, meron siyang gross income amounting to 15 million. Of the total gross income, 5 million was derived from unrelated trade or business. So, out of the 15 million, 5 million daw ang hindi related sa trade or business niya. So, paano mo ngayon i-compute yung tax niya? This is pertaining to the proprietary non-profit educational institutions and hospitals. So the total gross income is 15 million, less deductions of 3 million. So the total net income is 12 million. Ngayon, pag ganito kasi ang corporation mo, 10% lang ang rate niya. So tax due is 1.2. Bakit nag-apply sa kanya yung 10%? So the 10% tax rate applies because the gross income from unrelated trade or business did not exceed 50% limit of the total gross income. Actually, 33.33% lang siya. Paano nakuha yon? 5 million divided by yung total na 15 million is 33% lang. Next illustration. Kunwari naman, yung unrelated trade or business niya is 9 million. Magkano yung tax due? Gross income is 15 million, less deductions of 3 million. So, total net income mo is 12 million times 30%. Bakit dito 30% yung ginamit at hindi 10%? So, it is because the unrelated trade or business, the gross income from unrelated trade or business is more than 50% of the total gross income. So, actually, it is 60%. 9 million divided by the total gross income of 15 million is 60%. So the tax rate that applies in this is 30%. Bakit man 30%? 2019 kasi to. Ang tax rate na ng 2019 is 30%. Next. Ano pa yung different corporations? Itong mga nakikita nyo sa taas, mga rulings na lang to. Next. Government-owned or controlled corporations, agencies, or instrumentalities, or GOCCS, subject to the provision of existing special laws or general laws. A corporations, agencies, or instrumentalities owned or controlled by the government shall pay such rate of tax upon their taxable income as are imposed by the code upon corporations or associations engaged in a similar business, industry, or activity. So these are the following government-owned or controlled corporations na exempt sa tax. Ibig sabihin, hindi sila natatax, hindi sila nagbabayad ng tax. Si GSIS, si SSS, si PhilHealth, si PCSO, at si local water districts. However, under the train law, yung makabago ng train law ngayon, hindi nakasama si PCSO sa mga exempt from income tax. So, ito yun. Makikita nyo na noong 2011, may nangyaring kaso na dineclare ng Supreme Court na si PAGCOR is liable for corporate income tax without making any distinction as to the nature of the income subject to tax. So, yan yon. Next is the Power Sector Assets and Liabilities Management Corporation or SAM. So it clarifies the income tax consequences of transactions of the SAM. They are as follows. No income and withholding taxes are due from the sale of National Power Corporation, generation assets, and other real properties to winning bidders. The rental income of SAM from the NPC generation assets and other real properties prior to its sale to winning bidders is subject to income tax. Any income to be derived by SAM from the operation of the generation facilities is subject to income tax and withholding taxes. So, ito yung sa Power Sector Assets and Liabilities Management Corporation. Next is the mutual life insurance companies. So these companies are now subject to the regular corporate income tax rates. So subject na sila sa RCIT. Tinatawag kasi namin RCIT yung regular corporate income tax rates. Okay. So another one is the Homeowners Association. Saan na yun? Okay. So, Homeowners Association, these are the association or condominium dues, membership fees, and other assessment or charges, which are held in trust by the condominium corporation to be used solely for administrative expenses. So, these are excluded from the condominium corporation's gross income. So these are not subject to income and withholding taxes. So under to ng Homeowners Association. So yung mga association or condominium dues, membership fees, other assessment or charges, ganyan. Excluded to sa gross income. Next is the recreational clubs. So recreational clubs, RMC 35-2012 clarifies the taxability of clubs organized and operated exclusively for pleasure, recreation, and other non-profit purposes. Income from whatever source, including but not limited to membership fees, assessment dues, rental income, and services of clubs organized and operated exclusively for pleasure, recreation, and other non-profit purposes are subject to income tax. So, subject sa income tax ang mga income ng recreational clubs. So, membership fee man yan, assessment dues man yan, rental income man yan, or services fees. International carrier. So, these are the different resident foreign corporations in particular naman. Ito yung mga international carrier. So, these are international carrier doing business in the Philippines shall pay a tax of 2.5% or 2.5 on its gross Philippine billings, GPB, as follows. So, international air carrier, gross Philippine billings refers to the amount, ano ba yung GPB? So, depende. Pag air carrier ka, it refers to the amount of gross revenue derived from passage of persons, excess baggage, cargo, and mail originating from the Philippines in a continuous and uninterrupted flight irrespective of the place of sale or issue and the place of payment of the passage documents. So yan. Pag international shipping naman, yung GPB mo, it means gross revenue whether for passengers, cargo, or mail originating from the Philippines up to the final destination, regardless of the place of sale or payments of the passage or freight documents. Hanggang dyan muna yung part 1 ng ating chapter 3 kasi nawalan ng kuryente. So yan muna. End ko muna. Magre-record na lang ulit ako ng another discussion for taxation of corporations.